And I think my heart literally stopped. I could not breathe. My husband was Uncle Shuey was in the shower, and I like banged on the door, and he knew right away. I didn't have to say like a word. And I just completely lost it. I could not stop crying because, as you know, my father was my person who saw me literally without any faults, only saw the good in me. Like when you lose that person,
It changes you.
it changes you.
So feel me when I bring it, singing loud. I'm from the loot and I'm proud. Run a mile for the cause. I'm right.
Guys, it's your girl Nahama, your favorite Jew from the Lou. Welcome back to my podcast. And today we are actually in Chicago, not St. Louis, with my lovely Aunt Shira Nudell. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I feel so honored to be on your podcast finally.
You're literally, I think, the most loyal listener that I've had
100%.
from day one.
Absolutely. You know, I love to promote anything you do.
It's awesome because my mom stopped listening a while ago.
Super awkward.
She's going to, but she like, whatever.
No, you keep me very entertained at work. It's great. I love your podcasts.
Thanks.
And
I love doing it.
I
So.
love how you have such a wide range of people that you speak to,
Mm-hmm.
and yet you can find a commonality like with anybody that you speak to in your podcast.
It's hard because like I'm such a schmoozer and I love to talk, but through this podcast, I've learned that like being quiet and giving people their space to talk brings out the coolest conversations. So
Can't wait to see where this one
I
goes.
know. Well, we already kind of have a theme. So for those of you who don't know, my dad died. A little over.
Wait,
I know
did your dad die?
he did.
No.
Indeed.
Oh, wow.
Kind of awkward.
Did you also know he was a convert?
I know that was only mentioned like 70 million times. It's fine. It's fine. But so it's really interesting in the Jewish world because obviously we know that there's a lot of laws around mourning and all of that. And I think realistically we all know that someone in our life is going to die eventually. Like unfortunately everyone is low key borrowed. So, but in the back of my mind, even though I knew my dad was older, and even though his health started to go down the drain when I was like in middle school, no, you just never really think it's going to happen to you.
Absolutely.
And so you and I are unfortunately in the one club that everyone eventually is going to be in. Nobody wants to be in, but once you're in, you're in. That's the dead dad club.
It's a very rough club to be in, especially when you're like yourself and me,
Mm-hmm.
who both like loved our dad so much. We were such daddy's girls.
Totally. And that's also why like I really wanted to talk to you about it. Technically, my mom is also part of the Dead Dad Club. Since she is your
Technically,
sister.
she literally
She
is in the
literally
dead
is.
dad
It's so
club.
freaking awkward.
Oops.
But I think you and I had like really unique relationships with our fathers because Sadie loved all his kids, but
Absolutely.
you definitely had a special place in his heart. And I know it was the same thing with my dad. Like he loved his kids from his first marriage. He loved my brothers, but like I could do no wrong. And that's the kind of love that it's like really hard to live without,
100%.
honestly.
Yes.
So, me being freshly new to this club and you being 11 years in, I'd love to just talk about our different experiences and also just talk about how like grief is such a unique experience. And unfortunately, there was a lot of people who try to project on me what my experience was going to be.
Mistake.
And it's changed, which has been weird too, because of how much I loved my father, I thought that I would just be miserable and sad for sure longer than I am, but I find so much joy now. And I think it's because for me, I just know my dad would want me to be joyful. And I'm still so young. I'm only 29. He wouldn't want me to be sad for the rest of my life.
I would agree with that statement. He was such a happy man.
Mm-hmm.
Always a twinkle in his eye, always a smile on his face. And he just wants the best for everybody, and especially for his princess.
Totally. But it's also like, I just didn't expect grief to hit me the way it did. And I'm curious to know, I know we're going hopping back 11 years, but for me, like, I had been anticipating it for a while because I had 6 years to prepare once he got diagnosed with dementia. And there was a lot of grief and mourning unofficially
Correct.
throughout that. There's no shifa for a dementia diagnosis. But that being said, I really felt that when he died, it wasn't really a matter of me being emotionally as exhausted. I was heartbroken, but I finally wasn't in survival mode. I wasn't waiting to hear, oh, he died today. There's another health issue. There's something crazy that's happening, right? Because it was such an emotional roller coaster that, like, it was just, okay, now I can finally have closure with this. And it was more of, I wasn't expecting to feel so physically exhausted. I also was so hungry that first week. Like, I have food never tasted so good in my life. And then, but then slowly over the course of the 30 days post his death, I suddenly like felt like my heart had just opened. Petty things didn't bother me as much anymore. Every time I saw someone, like I just wanted to hug them. And it just made me have this audacity towards life because I know that it's short and we're all gonna die. So might as well just live the most incredible life possible.
Absolutely. I would agree with that statement.
Yeah. So what was it like for you? Because you didn't have as much time to prepare.
It was very quick. I
Mm-hmm.
want to say there were 6 weeks from beginning to end of when he died.
I didn't realize it was that
It
fast.
was very fast when they actually correctly diagnosed him with amyloidosis.
Right.
And basically, my daughter, had just had a baby, and we went to St. Louis to visit Zadie on the way to my daughter's house
Mm.
to help her out with her kids. And I remember saying to Zadie, like, don't worry, Abba, I'll be back. See you when we get back. And he goes, by the time you get back from Lakewood, don't worry, I'll be out of the hospital giving a Gore Aryeh shear.
Wow.
So I'm like, amazing. That's great. And I gave him a hug goodbye and I felt so light and free. And then the Saturday night before we were leaving to come back to Chicago, Sunday morning that we were leaving, it was 4 days before Hanukkah. Uncle Hillel calls up and he's like, hi, Shira. I'm going to be helping Grandima light candles, Hanukkah candles this year. I'm like, that's nice of you. Okay, why are you calling? He's
Mm.
like, why are you telling me this? And he said, we're all going to be lighting Hanukkah candles together. And I'm like, oh, hell no. I am not coming to St. Louis for Hanukkah. I'm exhausted. I just helped my daughter for 2 weeks. I'm coming
Mm.
home and I'm just chilling for Hanukkah. And he's like, I don't think you understand. And I'm like, well, then just say it in English. And he's like, Abba passed away. And I think my heart literally stopped. I could not breathe. My husband Uncle Shuey was in the shower, and I like banged on the door, and he knew right away. I didn't have to say like a word. And I just completely lost it. I could not stop crying because, as you know, my father was my person who saw me literally without any faults, only saw the good in me. Like, I will give you the best example. This is amazing. As you know, I have 8 children,
Mm-hmm.
and to say that my house was never clean in the middle of the week would be an understatement. We were on a ranch, so there were toys strewn from front to end. And Zadie would come in on Shabbos and he'd look at Grandim and he'd say, Rachela, I don't know how she does it. She's got 8 kids and her house is always clean. And Adina's only got 3 children. Why is her house always a mess?
Stop.
I promise
My
you.
mom's house is so clean.
I know. I looked at Gardima and I'm like, whenever he's on, I want some of that.
Literally.
Because there's literally like no place to even like walk on the floor. Like, what? But that's the kind of person that like my father was to me. Like,
Yeah.
Zadie was like amazing. Like he literally saw me with no faults, thought I was like the most sweet, amazing, wonderful person. And I remember when I was being verbally abused by one of my bosses, and I called Zadie to tell him like I really had a rough day. I got verbally abused in front of the entire office. It was like, what did I do wrong? I don't even know. How should I handle it? And he's like, oh, honey, do you want me to call your boss and tell him how wonderful you are? How could anybody not appreciate you? Like when you lose that person, mm,
It changes you.
it changes you.
Yeah. I don't know if we ever talked about this, but like Zadie's death was very shaky for me as well because my dad's parents I had lost when I was younger, but I was so little that I didn't really understand the effects of that. Zadie and Grandima were my world. We went over there all the time for Shabbos, all the
Yeah.
hugging, like everything, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like generationally, I remember just always feeling like so safe. Like no matter what was going on in the world, being bullied when I was a kid, it didn't matter because my family loved me. And
Absolutely.
that was everything to me, you know? And like, what's so funny, I was telling my mom this recently, and I don't think we discussed this, but I was like, what I didn't realize as a kid, I was always in such a hurry to grow up. I always just
True.
wanted to grow up. But I didn't realize that the sacrifice for growing up would mean losing the people that I had in my childhood or certain just innocence of childhood, right? And so, like, Zadie died when I was 19. And that totally shook up my whole world because generationally, all of a sudden things were shook up. It wasn't me, the parents, my grandparents. I just had one live grandmother, and that was it. And she was not doing well after Zadie was gone because
Right.
that was the love of her life,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And so that was like the first time where I was like, wow, terrified, you know?
Absolutely.
I remember being so angry with Zadie when he died because I was like, I just didn't know how to live without him because my whole life had been with him in my life and being so supportive, and he was there for every milestone. So I just assumed
He'd
that
be
he
there
always would
forever.
be.
Yeah.
And I thought that, like, and I was like, they say, like, spiritually, like, generations will be there when you get married and all of that.
It's not the same.
It's not the same. And it's not the same as seeing the sparkle in their eye when they're proud of you or the hug or like, I always like imagine him shaking like my husband's hand or, like those things,
Absolutely.
like giving them the pride to watch the generations like move forward.
Right. For sure.
So that was like just so heartbreaking. And then I think what was so heartbreaking was like seeing Granima totally change after he died too. Because I feel like a lot of her independence, especially because of her health, just totally went down the tubes afterwards,
Right.
which also shakes up your whole world.
Absolutely. Especially since she was a woman who made 2,000 challahs between Rosh Hashanah and Sukkot,
Mm-hmm.
not with a mixer, by hand. No
Mm-hmm.
bosh.
Mm-hmm.
She literally did it by hand.
And everyone loved
And
it.
everyone loved her challah. She gave them free therapy when they came to pick up their
She
challahs.
got all the gossip.
She got all the gossip. It was amazing. And then to see
Yeah.
somebody that fiercely independent, she would go on her treadmill every day to work out her problems and, whatever it was, to see her decline that rapidly after Zadie died she tried. She held on for a while, but then at some point she just gave up.
Yeah.
She just wanted to die. It was really sad.
I remember also, I know this is going to sound so morbid, but this is the time to be morbid, and this is kind of our personalities and our family.
100%.
But like they had been married for 58 years. They met when they were 16. They got married when they were in their early 20s. And like I just remember thinking when she was so heartbroken, I'm like, God, you're so lucky. Like how lucky are you to be so heartbroken over someone that you met at such a young age, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
To like have lived your whole life with them, like that's crazy.
Yeah,
It's a lot.
absolutely. It's a lot.
And like for you, I also feel like for me, one of the things that if you haven't heard on previous episodes, and if you don't know me, this is your first time hearing me, um, I was there when my father died. And that was huge for me. Especially because I felt so much guilt about having putting him in the nursing home 2 years ago, and they were horrible. And in the beginning when my father was in the nursing home, it kind of reminded me as like when you drop off a little kid at kindergarten and they come running after you and they're crying and they want to come home. And it's hard, but you push them to stay because that's what they need to grow up. He was never coming home. So like especially with dementia, it feels like you're watching them age in reverse,
For sure.
but in the most terrible way ever because you know what the end is.
Right.
And so, like, the guilt that I would feel every time we left the nursing home and he'd be crying and trying to wheel himself after, I was like, it was so horrible. And, like, that's why whenever anyone would visit him who wasn't our family, I was like, are you psychotic? That's
Like, what's wrong with
why
you?
would you? I'm like, so nice. Like, thank you.
Why would you put
Why would
yourself
you
through
do
that?
that? I'm like, I'm literally in hell every time I go visit him. Like, why would you do that? But it's like, the fact that I got to be there at the end and he wasn't alone. And there was like for 3 months before, and every time I went there and I'd hold his hand, I'm like, I'm right here. If you want to go right now, you're not alone. Like, that's what I told him. I'm like,
Wow, I didn't realize that.
I told him that a lot of times. I'm
I
like,
just thought it was at the end.
no, I ever did like, for like the last 3 months when I saw there was a certain point health wise that he was just suffering so much and he wasn't getting better. I would hold his hand and I would say, I'm right here with you. I'm gonna be okay. I wish that you could be here for the future, but I know this isn't gonna change. So I need you to know that if you want to go, I'm right here with you and you're not alone.
What did you like? What do you think he responded to that? Like, did you notice anything?
Yeah, he looked in even more pain. Like,
Wow.
yeah.
So he wasn't ready at that point, for sure not. He's like, why are you
No.
saying this?
Well, I think he was like torn between two worlds towards the end. Like I think he just loved us
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
So that was
Rough.
yeah. But like the fact that we were there at the end was so incredible because like I got to hold his hand. I got to apologize to him for not visiting more, for not having more qualitative visits, for not loving him more, for not being respectful to him. Like
Everything.
everything. And then we sang to him what we tried. I broke down crying. Like we tried singing to him and then I kept giving him like kisses on his head. And then I held his hand and it was like so warm, but then I felt it getting like slowly colder.
Oh gosh.
And then he like it was so this isn't funny, but it's funny because like the nurses came in and they like first of all they gave us a comfort cart which is like basically snacks, coffee, tea for the family. So I had some tea. It was disgusting. It wasn't like cafe, but
Duh.
but it was like my last coffee with my dad.
Wow.
So
How poetic.
that's what I felt like.
That's really
I
beautiful.
like forced myself to do it because I'm like, this is a core memory, you know? And I'll never be able to hold his hand again and drink coffee with him,
Right.
you know? And then at a certain point, they turned off the monitors so that we wouldn't be focused on
That
that.
beeping is horrific.
But there was a small monitor, and my uncle Hillel was there. And my mom and my uncle Hillel were like looking over the.
Oh dear
And
Lord.
I'm like, hello.
What are you
He's
doing?
clearly he's dying. Like there's no more stats to check. Like focus.
Give it up.
But I was looking at my dad, so they missed this. But I was looking at my dad when he died, and he took like this huge. He was on a ventilator, mind you.
Right, I
So
remember.
he took this huge breath. They call it the death rattle. And then, but before that, there was one tear that came down. He took a huge breath. And then because of the ventilator, he was still kind of crying. Hi.
We're in the middle of a podcast.
Because of the ventilator, he was still kind of breathing. And then
They cut for photo editing.
literally.
Video editing.
Because of the ventilator, he was still kind of breathing, but like I can't explain it, but I just knew the second my dad saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see it.
It was
We had the same experience with Grandima.
I always wanted to be there.
Right.
I know that sounds weird, but I
No,
always
it's not
wanted to
weird.
see it.
There's something, and it's a weird way to describe it, but there's something very cathartic.
Yes. Because I know for sure he died. Does that make sense?
It 100% makes
Now,
sense.
the reason why I'm
But
going through all
did you
this,
also notice that, like, after he took that last, what did you say it was called?
the death rattle.
The death rattle. Did you notice, like, a look of serenity on his face? No?
Kind of. I think it was just a very out of body experience. Like my dad was there and he no longer was fighting. He had so much facial expression towards that when he was in pain because he couldn't talk.
Sure.
But he was just there. But he wasn't.
So it's really interesting because when Grandima took her last breath, all of a sudden her face literally looked like the face of an angel.
Really?
I wasn't there, unfortunately, when
Zadie.
passed
No one
away.
was though. That was the crazy
Right.
thing.
That was crazy because Uncle Hillel literally went home for 5 seconds to take a shower.
Yeah.
But I think Zadie was waiting for that.
Yeah. But yeah, but that's also really sad. Like
It's
no
so
one should
sad.
have to die
Larry
alone.
Brown was there.
He wasn't there. He came when they were covering.
Oh, I
He
thought he
was
was in the
about to
room.
go visit, and
Okay.
then when he came, they were already putting the sheet over.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he died alone.
Yeah.
That's really depressing.
Yeah. Especially because he was so well loved and there were so many people
So
who
loved.
visited. Do you regret that you weren't there?
I didn't have any indication that he was like the end.
Right. But
Had
I'm
I
saying
known,
looking back,
oh my God,
do you wish you would have been there, I
I
guess is what I'm
wish I
saying.
could have been there, but honestly, I don't think he would have died if I were there. I think he would
He
have
would
done
have
the
held
same
on.
thing. He would have held on and waited for everyone to leave before he passed away. I think that he didn't really want to cause anybody pain. That's how he lived his whole life. Like
Mm,
even when he had to give, Musser, he would always say, like, whatever you have to say, just say it with love. That was his famous
I
line.
love that
I
line.
love that line so much. I wish I can, you know, manifest that, or actually I wish I could actually do that. I know, like, logically that's the way you need to treat people, and for the most part I really try to treat people with respect, but sometimes that empathic side of me, that emotional side of me gets the better of me, and I don't really mean to be forceful. I just think it comes out like I'm crying, and it might not come out so nice,
Right.
possibly.
Right.
But
That's where the pause, what a pleasure would
that,
come in handy.
yes, pause. Oh my gosh. So I'm trying really hard to work on that, is
Hmm.
pausing when I'm feeling as they say in today's day and age, big emotions. I really try to do that pregnant pause and
Yeah.
reframe what I want to say, because words do hurt. And if Uncle Shuey always says, you could be right or you could be effective.
There's like a Christian mentality that I think is really beautiful, and I haven't really heard a Jewish version of this, but they say like speak life into people is how they phrase it. So it's like you can literally see from people's reactions the words that you use, the way that you're phrasing it, you're either killing the person or building the person, you know?
There has to be a Jewish saying.
There has to
If I were
be,
Uncle Shuey, I'd have it at the tip of my tongue, but I'm not, so sorry.
but conceptually.
Conceptually, I totally get it. And
Yeah.
it's so true.
Yeah. It's funny because it's just the core memories that I have of Zadie. It's funny what like flickers into your brain throughout. And it's funny because I felt like I had so many more in-depth conversations with Granima. Like we talked for hours, like pretty much every week, at least once a week.
For sure.
I cannot freaking remember one quotable quote from Granima.
Really?
That's why during like her Shiva, I believe it was, you wanted everyone to go around, and my
You had
mind was
nothing to say.
blank
I remember.
because there was so much depth to our relationship. But Zadie and I, like, we loved each other, but we didn't have the kind of relationship me and Granima did. Like, it was a very loving relationship, but it wasn't necessarily a,
Intellectual,
which is interesting because he is so
very
intellectual. But for some reason, that just, he and I would sing together, and like at one point when he was having a hard time with his balance, I would walk him to shul.
beautiful.
But like, it was just more of like a love and silence kind of situation where apparently he would tell Granima all the things he loved about me, but he never said
Never
it to
said it to you
me.
straight up.
Yeah. But we would sing together all the
That's
time.
so beautiful.
I do remember like some Say It With Love was a big one. Another core memory that I have of Zadie was I was reading one of Grandima's psychology books, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And I was in high school when I was reading it. Wasn't talking to boys at that point, and came in. He was like, "Why are you reading that crap?" And I remember he didn't talk like that. That was Granima.
Yeah.
So I was shocked, and I was like, "Oh, because I'm gonna get married one day, and I want to understand men." He's like, "You don't need that." He's like, "Be a mensch, marry a mensch, you'll be fine."
I love that.
And I was like, "Alrighty." I remember I stopped reading it at that point in time. I never finished the book.
That's so funny.
I'm like, they've been
Who
married.
needs this?
Yeah. And then another one was when I decided not to go to seminary. And I just was like really worried about like what his opinion was going to be about it. He's like, listen, in the end of the day, there's no right or wrong, but everything you do is going to have consequences. He's like, there would have been consequences for going to seminary, and there's going to be consequences for not.
Right. Very sagely advice.
Which is ultimately true, but
Yeah.
yeah. Do you remember like what was that grief process for you initially, right? Because like clearly you were a mess when you found out, and then you had to come to St. Louis, which in and of itself is like a lot.
There was a lot of drama at that Shiva.
Yeah.
I literally left early because I couldn't take it anymore. So I just picked up and left. We'll leave it at that.
Okay.
And then like nobody really knew my dad here. Like nobody knew Zadie here in
Oh,
Chicago.
that's really
So
lonely.
I felt like I got zero comfort, zero closure. And I feel like I was so broken and had such a huge hole in my heart. Still do. Because I literally lost my person and I didn't feel comforted. But what was really nice is that Hashem sent people along the way that would come pass by, like Meshulachim, or people that came to my office at the time where I was working that knew Zadie from way, way back. And they would
Really?
tell me these amazing stories. Like I met one of his students from LA
That's like, whoa, that's way back in the
that
day.
like he was the assistant rabbi at, I forgot the name of the show. I always forget the name of it, but like there were people there that came to Chicago because they were yes, to Chicago because they knew Mr. Formis Alav Shalom. And actually, Zadie was the one responsible for sending him to Skokie Yeshiva.
Wow.
That's what Mr. Formis told me. And like those stories just gave me so much comfort. Like, I'm like, where were you guys during Shiva when I needed you? But it was, in a way, it was more cathartic then
Mm-hmm.
because like it was very unexpected.
Right.
So it was so nice to hear like
Randomly.
random people from random all over the place,
Yeah.
telling me these stories about Zadie. And it was just like, I felt like Hashem was sending a big warm hug down from Shemayim.
So what was heartbreaking for me was that I always thought my dad would have these like secret stories that I would find out later and during Shiva. I was always really looking forward to that. But most people who came during Shiva said, "Oh, we didn't really know your dad that well. But he was so nice and his energy was so great. He always made you feel good." And that was so heartbreaking for me because I know how incredible my dad was. And I realized that I probably had one of the closest relationships to him, and most people didn't know him in that way.
Right,
And I hate that.
right. There were a lot of people in St. Louis when I was there during your father's Shiva that really did know him and said beautiful stories. It was funny because your mom did not know that he was like been biased by us before he got married to your mom.
I don't think I knew that either.
He used to eat by us all the time and we like loved him. And I remember when he was going through his conversion process, your dad was a
A
convert.
convert?
Did you
Really?
know?
Did I?
Anyway,
Did
he
you know
would
he
always say
died?
like, did you know he's dead?
It's crazy.
He literally used to say this all the time with a twinkle in his eye that he had. I love that twinkle. He's like, so what can I do to this week to break Shabbos? Because I'm not allowed to keep it fully yet. And I'm like, I'm good. He goes, no, give me something to do.
Thank God.
It was great. And he was always so good with the kids.
He was so sweet too. Like I think the dementia also brought on extra sweetness in him
For
where like
sure.
he became very more like verbally expressive and like very like physically like affectionate. And so like I was going through my own religious journey at the time. Related, not related, who's to know? But but I remember like when my skirts started to get shorter and like my gym skirts like I wear like the tennis skirts over the leggings. And like my mom like literally grabbed me and she brought me from my phone. She's like, "Do you see how short your daughter's skirt is?" My dad's like, "Covers all the important bits."
I love that.
I'm like, when I became a barista, I went to tell him when he was in the hospital because like I had my interview was like right around the corner from his room. And I came in and he was so proud of me. You would have thought that I had just told him I was like
Engaged.
promoted to being a VP.
That's
Engaged.
amazing.
I'm sorry. I'm like, that's so not in my head of like something that's gonna happen for me. So sad. Sorry, that's really depressing.
No, I thought your best line was like how your dad has much better taste up from heaven than he did
Oh,
on earth.
no, that was my first thing because, like, when he first died, I like broke down crying, and like the nurse just made a beeline. Like, the nurses were phenomenal there. It was also very emotional for me because, like, I realized that it was a very full circle moment because my dad died in the same hospital that I was born in,
Oh, wow.
which is crazy because he had been in so many different
Yes, he
hospitals,
was.
and it just happened to be the last one.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Isn't that
How did we
crazy?
not talk about that during Shiva?
We talked about a
We
lot.
talked about so much. That never even came
I
up. That's
know. Isn't
wild.
that
Yeah,
crazy?
that's literally life
It
cycle.
was, it was, and I was there, and it was just, there were so many crazy things about that.
Wow.
But when I broke down crying, and the nurse came behind me, and she gave me like this big hug, and she was like, and the first words that came out of my mouth after my dad died was, "Who's gonna walk me down the aisle?" And she's like, oh my gosh, honey, when's the wedding? And I was like, I don't know. I haven't met the guy yet.
Oh my God, I love that.
And she was like, oh.
Oh.
It was so freaking
Awkward.
awkward. And she was like, well, your dad will send the guy, don't worry. And then I was like, well, hopefully he has better taste up there than he did down here because Lord knows the man tried. It was bad.
Anybody want my daughter?
He literally was bringing people from off the street, which it wasn't great. But I do feel like he's my guardian angel.
100%.
Do you feel like you have little moments where you're like, oh, I know my dad was here with me. Like this happened because he.
So as you know,
Yeah.
Zadie made a DVD, CD
Mm-hmm.
of RX for Stress.
Yeah.
So I have it downloaded on my phone. So anytime I'm feeling like really, really sad or really, really down or really, really need my dad, I literally just turn it on so I can hear his voice. So I will never forget. It was right before my oldest grandson Tani's bar mitzvah, and I was taking Manucha. Oh no, I was taking Atara for a manicure for the bar mitzvah. All of a sudden, and I did not turn it on, Zadie's voice came through and the RX for Stress started playing on my phone.
Wow.
It's as if like Hashem was saying, like, you know how we talked about the fact that like your dead relatives come down, but no, for real, like he was literally there. It was amazing.
Yeah. For me, I have two things that I did with my dad because, like, they say like a cardinal would say is like a sign that your loved
Yes.
one's watching you.
Oh yes, I forgot about that
So
too.
I was like, let me make up like a random one that's just me and my dad, and like then I'll know that he's like watching me and whatever. So, duh, it had to be Diet Coke. Diet Coke's my little sign that my dad's watching me. And it's really funny because like I'll be on TikTok, let's say, or like randomly doing something, and like by like nighttime it gets harder for some reason. And like if I ever start to feel my feels, like I'll be randomly scrolling and like the algorithm hasn't shown me anything like Diet Coke, but then all of a sudden like Diet Coke appears. Or it's like on a t-shirt or it's on something.
Good old algorithms.
I take it as a sign.
It's a sign that they're watching, they're listening.
I'm okay with that. If it makes me feel like my dad's watching me.
Let me ask you, is it when you go down your deep dark rabbit hole and are listening to all the TikToks about the Dead Dad Club?
I did definitely go down. This was like literally the night that my dad died. I started watching these videos of girls saying goodbye to their fathers, like in the hospital. And I thought that my heart was going to just be ripped out of my chest. I was like, maybe this isn't the smartest thing to do.
No. No, give yourself a little time to heal first before you do that to yourself.
I also really love Shiva, and I didn't think I would.
I told you would totally rock it out. It was all about you. Everybody came to see you. You
Yeah.
actually had a ton of people literally
For me.
that came for you, and the plants that were sent and the money that was donated. And
Do you know someone gave me gas money?
You told me.
Isn't that the sweetest
That's so
thing?
sweet. That's so thoughtful.
It's so thoughtful.
And
Well,
then
he was part of the Dead Dad Club too.
so he knows.
For anyone listening, if anyone you know loses a parent or anyone they love, get them a gift card for gas. It's really thoughtful.
It's very thoughtful.
You can use it whenever.
Right.
And it's really helpful. Everyone needs gas.
Everyone needs gas. And then your life coach or your ex-life coach?
My previous life coach.
Your previous
I
life
graduated
coach.
myself.
You graduated yourself. So your previous life coach also
Yeah.
gave you and your mom money, a gift certificate or money to go out for dinner. And tomorrow night you get to go to a bougie restaurant here in Chicago.
What's crazy about that story is, so he isn't my coach anymore. He hasn't been my coach for like 2 years. I was reaching out to everyone I knew because like some people, everyone responds differently to grief. I wanted all the attention. Someone and like one of my non-Jewish friends was like, "Oh, I wanted to give you space," and I'm like, "Smother me. Don't give me space. I don't want space. I want attention. I want hugs. I want coffee. I want love. Don't give me space. I don't want to think. I don't want to be alone. I've been alone for so long. Like I don't want to be alone."
Right.
And then he got the text and he called me the day of, like right when I got home from the hospital, he had called me. And I thought that was so beautiful. Like we hadn't talked in 2 years. Nothing bad happened. I just graduated myself. I felt like I was good. Called me up right away. And then he didn't even know this. He doesn't know about Jewish death traditions, if you will. On Shloshim, 30 days after the death, he called me that day. That was the day he gave me the money.
That's so beautiful. I didn't realize it was on the Shloshim.
You didn't know?
That's beautiful.
Isn't that
That's
crazy?
insane. And I know that, like, even though we talked about this, that, like, you're going to find that, like, when did I actually ever have time to go visit my dad? Like, how did I fit that in my busy schedule? Because you're
Mm-hmm.
so busy now, building up your coffee shop.
Life is fast, but every now and then, you deserve a pause, a moment that's just for you. At Le Café, we believe that each cup of coffee should taste like a little bit of luxury. Handcrafted and locally roasted here in St. Louis, each of our single origin beans are carefully selected to give you the most unique and smoothest experience. Whether you like a light, medium, or dark roast, we got you. For those busy mornings, or for my coffee lovers who prefer efficiency, we also have K-Cups. So go ahead and pour yourself a cup that tastes like self-care. Visit www.lecafe.us to bring the cafe experience home. Le Café, you deserve it.
Up in your coffee business, and I'm sure your father is smiling down so hard right now. He's so happy for you, but like it you'll never regret that time that you set aside to go visit your dad.
100%. Well, especially now looking back, knowing that there was such a short period of time. Like I told you briefly about this, but this is how I've really been feeling is I feel like I'm God's favorite. And I feel that
I love that you feel that.
I
It's so incredible.
I have irrefutable proof of it because like I have challenges in my life. I lost my dad at 29. Most people would look at that and be like, I don't know, that doesn't really seem like God's favorite right there. And I'm like, okay, but hear me out. My dad loved me. I don't know many people who can say that. You could say that, but I don't know many people who can say that, especially the way that he loved me.
For sure.
Also, my dad loved me and he loved my mom, which is another incredible gift.
You saw that love between your parents, which is a beautiful
It's
gift.
a huge gift. And that doesn't mean that it was perfect and it doesn't mean they didn't have challenges, but like to me, that's even more of a gift.
For sure.
To be able to see the reality of marriage and the reality of the challenges that come with marriage, and yet they still love each other and chose each other again and again and again, because in reality, that's marriage.
Right. I remember people were so special and said to your mom, I mean, he's got dementia. Why don't you just divorce him?
They
Like,
said that
what?
so many times
Like,
on different.
what?
Every time he didn't step up as a man, let's say, they would be like, divorce him. And I'm like, do you not know what marriage is? Like,
You don't just give up on somebody when they get dementia and get sick.
it's also like, why are you with the person? Like, do
Right.
you really love them? It's
Right.
like in like the non-Jewish wedding vows, it's through rich or through poor, through sickness and in health. Like this is
Literally,
your
till
life
death do
partner
we part.
is essentially what's supposed to
Yeah.
happen, you know?
100%.
And I heard a divorce lawyer say the most beautiful thing on marriage. He said, every relationship is either going to end up with a breakup or death, right? If you don't get divorced, one of you is going to die before the other, most likely, right?
Right.
And so he's like, that kind of grief, especially the grief of death, why would we even put ourselves in the situation to be in a relationship where our heart is going to be ripped out of our chest like that?
For sure.
And he said, because even though not everybody gets the ultimate relationship with marriage, not everybody gets that home run, but if you do, it is so worth that grief when it comes, because grief truly is love with nowhere to go.
Absolutely.
And that's
I
why
love that, actually.
that's what it
Beautiful
is.
saying.
That's why you're so
In
distraught,
pain.
because especially if your parent or your spouse was in, and a lot of times this is the case, was their health was in so much decline, there's so much caregiving. And so then, like, I remember with me, I wasn't even as much of a caregiver as my mom, but I definitely
For sure.
was there. And I
Well,
was,
you were always there when he fell.
he was, and he was there where I held him in my arms when he had a stroke, like
Yeah.
all of those things.
You were always there for the worst parts.
I found, yeah.
Okay, skip that. Move
No,
on.
I'm like trauma remembering all
Yeah,
these
I'm
things.
trauma remembering it for you.
It was a lot.
It is a lot.
It is a
And
lot.
you're young, like you said. That's really rough.
It was really
It's
rough.
not like you're 42 and married with a family and had that experience.
And I was really angry for a time period about that, where I was like, I'm too young to be going through this.
Yeah.
I should be
hard.
living my life. I shouldn't be worrying about this. And it was,
But you did. You decided, even though everybody thought you were crazy, you said, you know what? I have a goal. I want to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. And you did.
yeah, I
And
did.
guess what? Your dad stayed alive for you through all that.
It was really scary though, because on Kilimanjaro, like the first few camps, I had service still. And one of the last times that I had service, my mom would send out these updates about my dad's health. And it was a really bad one
Oh
right before I
gosh.
lost
Oh
service.
gosh.
And then when I got to base camp, which is the camp right before you summit, for those of you who don't know, I climb Mount Kilimanjaro.
Come on.
I almost died. I lost 2 toenails. No big deal.
Whatever.
Whatever.
But I did
I
it.
got 3 proposals in Africa. No big deal.
No big deal. Ground coffee beans.
It was great. I went on a safari, phenomenal. But like, I remember at base camp, my mom had written me a note before I climbed summit to read. I had written myself a little letter,
Oh my God, I love that. You are so Grandima.
but I left both of them behind on
No.
accident.
Oh my gosh.
So I broke down crying. But there's this great picture that one of the Mama Karen, she's 60, she came with us. She was one of the climbers in our team.
Wow.
She's so badass. She took this picture of me when I got right to base camp. I got there 2 hours after everyone. I was crying. My hair was greasy. I haven't showered in 7 days. I'm a girly girl. I've never hiked. I've never climbed. It was an adventure. Okay. I got to the top and they're all have their cameras out videoing me and cheering me on, like trying to bump me up, and I'm just crying and I'm like, "Stop videoing me."
Oh my God, you poor
There's
baby.
this picture of me where I like literally just sat down by the edge of like the little camp where it shows like the elevation. I took out my brush. I'm like, I need to brush my hair. Brush
Oh,
my hair. Just some semblance. We all have these backpacks with these emergency zippers. Like everyone jokes about like what was in their emergency zipper. I didn't wear makeup during the climb, but I kept some lip gloss in there because a woman still needs to feel like a woman.
absolutely. 100%. I would agree with
It
you.
was just my little thing for myself to
Self-care.
make me feel like a woman when I was doing the most masculine thing I've ever done in my life. But yeah, it's good stuff.
And you live to tell the tale.
But yeah, my dad didn't die on the mountain.
Thank God.
Thank God. But like,
No, but
yeah.
you can't stop your life. I was really impressed. I know a lot of people gave you a hard time.
Well, people actually told me that I needed to get married when I first got we heard my dad had dementia.
Sure, that's a reason to get married.
I was like, if I find the right guy.
What's wrong with people?
I'll tell you honestly, the last 2 years I really haven't dated just because I didn't have the emotional capacity to do that. And like this is what I mean when I say I feel like I'm God's favorite because he died in a way where I was able to be there, my mom was able to be there. It was done in a dignified way in a hospital that was clean with no other patients in there with him. I've met at least 2 other people whose parents have dementia and they're going on 14 years of dementia.
Wow.
He died at a time where I'm still young enough that I can get married and live my life without having to be a caretaker. And he also died while my mom was still young enough that she can also move on one day.
Love that for you.
So he passed on a lot of good things. And I feel like also to your point with my coffee business,
Yeah.
I really just got to the point where things are getting very busy very fast.
Right.
And
And now you have the time to pay attention and give the, the
right.
proper, I don't know, the proper steps that you could take now because you have that time freedom.
Time freedom, no. But I
I
always
hate to say it like that, but
it's
but it's
true.
true.
But I always
You also have
really
more emotional energy
oh
because when you
yeah.
go visit your dad and then you leave him there,
I was exhausted
it is emotionally
and
exhausting.
physically exhausting. Especially the past like 3 months before he died. Like that was
Awful. Yeah,
it's just really hard seeing your parent in pain.
100%.
My sister-in-law lost her mom at a young age, and she always said that she and her friend lost her mom at a young age. I always talked about what's worse. Is it worse to watch your parent, who's your role model and the strongest person in your life, slowly deteriorate, or is it worse to just suddenly lose them?
I don't think there's an answer.
There isn't.
There's no answer.
There's no answer, but I think God knows the people
What they need.
what they need. Like my hairstylist, she lost her mom instantly. And she was like, I would not have been able to cope.
With a long extended period.
But for me, even though it's been really lonely, really hard, I think I'm handling my grief so much better.
I think that you were more prepared
Mm-hmm.
because you saw the slow decline.
Yeah. And it got to a point where I wanted him to go.
Right, because you saw that
He was
he was
suffering
suffering
and he was
so
never going to
much.
be better.
Right,
And so, like, in a way, to me, that was a gift.
right. I hear you.
Yeah.
Even though he's not in your life, he'll always be right here,
Right. So for
cheering you
you,
on.
11 years in, how do you cope with that grief and that loss?
There are days and there are days. How's
Okay.
that?
That's fair.
Definitely, like, it's so interesting. I can almost, without even looking at a calendar, I can almost determine when the anniversary of his death is because I get ridiculously emotional.
Hmm.
I just want to be left alone. I just want to cry. Anything you say to me makes me cry. You could say, like, "Hey, Shira, how are
You
you?"
just get triggered.
I literally will just break down and cry.
Yeah.
And the fact that I, thank God, have his voice that I can listen to is very soothing for me. He had the most soothing voice in the entire world. So I'll just turn on RX for stress and listen to him for a few minutes and do my crying. And, I would like to say that it gets easier. People say as the years go by, it gets easier, but I feel like some days are just harder than others.
I would agree.
Depends what's going on in my life, you know?
It's so random. It's so random. Like, I'll tell you, like, I feel so much closer to my mom now because not only of the shared experience of what we've gone through, but also like I remember after Sadie died, but for sure after Granima died, my mom has always been like a beautiful, wonderful person, but she became so sensitive in a way that I was just like, as a child, I was like, come on, snap back, snap back. Like, I know you were sad, but shit was over. Like, I can't, like, because it was hard for
For
me.
sure.
And like, that's not a sensitive, empathetic way to like deal with someone.
No,
But at the same time, I think that sometimes I'm not the most empathetic person and like feelings make me uncomfortable. And so I didn't,
how are we getting along so well then?
I'll tell you because I've changed. Grief has changed me.
Wow. But we always got along.
Yeah, but
And I've been an empath my whole life.
we have, but like, you're also, what's the word? The word pizzazz is coming in my brain. I'm like, sorry, you got like personality. You know what I mean? Like, it's different when you live with someone. Cause like when I would visit you, you'd be like, oh my gosh, it's so great to see you. We haven't seen each other. Or is that there's that excitement, that connection. But like with my mom, like I see my mom when she's her weakest.
Right,
I see her when the whole world feels like it's crashing in and
right.
like it's nighttime and she's not that strong, positive person that everyone else sees.
I remember you saying that to me once.
I see what other people will never see. And
Right,
they shouldn't. That's not meant for everyone to see.
right,
But because I live with her and because we're so close, I see a side of her that no one has ever seen before.
right.
And so it's scary. It's very scary as I know I'm an adult, but as a child to see your parents be so human, especially
Absolutely.
when they're so positive and strong,
Right,
it breaks your heart because you're like, I don't know how to fix you and I
right,
don't know how to be there for you.
right.
So I'm uncomfortable is essentially it. And like I've noticed this was something from like my childhood where like my way of dealing with sadness is anger.
Interesting. I did not know that about you.
I didn't either.
That's fascinating.
I'll go into it for just a quick little detour. The first time my dad had health issues was when I was 12. He had 96% heart blockage. And my dad loved my mom so much, and he knew how much she hated hospitals. And he also was the type where it's like he never wanted to bother anybody. Such a man. Let me take care of it myself. This man literally took himself to the hospital. He was a veteran, so he was able to go to the VA, and he described his symptoms, and they knew immediately what was happening. So they
Gosh.
took him immediately. Like my dad had this crazy timing with hospitals. He always got there like right in the
Right in
nick
the
of
nick of
time.
time.
And there's a rotation because it's the VA of the best doctors, and that always the ones that the specialty that he needed happened to be on rotation.
Wow.
Like truly also one of God's chosen
God.
ones. But like I remember, so my mom was teaching and she didn't pick up her phone, so he left her a voicemail. Do you know this story?
No.
Really? Oh my God, this is the beginning of my trauma. Um, he left her a voice note and he said, "Hi, honey. I just wanted to let you know that I'm going into open heart surgery. I have 96% heart blockage, but don't worry, it'll be over before you know it. I'll call
Oh
you when I'm
my
done."
God.
This is the
No.
voice that my mom listens to during recess.
Oh my
And
God.
she's like, "What?" And then, like, by the time she calls him, he's done with surgery. Thank God it went well.
Oh my
My
gosh.
mom hates hospitals. She hates highways. So we take Delmar all the way down to downtown to the VA hospital. And we get there. It was the most out of body experience. My dad just had open heart surgery, but he knew how scared my mom was of hospitals. So he put on a pair of raspberry scrubs that he borrowed from one of the nurses.
No.
He was holding on to his IV stick. He had all these wires. He looked like he just ran out from the mental asylum. And he meets us by the parking lot. He's like, "How you doing? Come
What?
get me." This man's been there one day.
Oh my
He
gosh.
starts waving to everyone in the hospital, "How you doing?" He's flirting with everyone. Somehow he already knows everybody's name because
Wow.
that's who he was.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, then he got tired really fast and he like was in his room. Like, and I remember just being so like, what is happening right now? Right? Meanwhile, I'm 12, okay? And then he lays down in his hospital bed, and then you could just see like the life gets sucked out of him. He used all his energy to make sure we were okay, that we found him.
And now he can crash.
But when I saw him like that, I had never seen my dad so vulnerable and so weak, and something in me just like snapped.
Oy.
And I just yelled at him. I was like, "How dare you? Don't you die? This is so cool. You're not." I was just yelling at him because I was so scared.
I can imagine.
So,
That is terrifying for a 12-year-old.
and then I basically been on a death watch since I was 12 because that was the first time I realized my dad's not going to be here forever. I
Wow.
knew my dad was older. I know he had silver hair. People always thought he was my grandfather, not my father.
Right.
But like, it's one thing that he looks older, it's another thing to have health
For
issues.
sure.
So that's why for me, when my dad died, was like the first time in my life where I could just be like,
You don't have to worry about him anymore. We all know he's in a better place.
except for the first time it rained after he died, I was nervous that he was going to be cold and wet.
Oh, that's so sweet. I don't think they feel cold
I know that
there.
I was like, "You're literally an idiot." Like his body's literally going to decompose. But
Yeah.
that was my
Or
first
not. If he
thought.
was a tzaddik, it won't.
This is also true, but
Right?
we're not going to go check.
Okay,
Um,
no, we're not opening up any graves anytime soon.
But it was just, yeah, it was a lot. Where was I going with the story? Oh, my mom. So like, but this time around, my mom and I are sharing the same grief.
For sure.
And so seeing her be that sensitive, I knew how to handle it. And so it's interesting because I've seen different family members of yours interact with you and your death with your father. I know how I used to be with my mom with her sensitivities about that and randomly getting triggered, or my dad used to sundown and cry about his parents too. And I think until it's that's why they say there's this clip that I heard. It's from Grey's Anatomy where she talks about it. She's like, there's this club and nobody wants to be in the club.
Nope.
But when you're in,
You're
you're
in.
in. Now we can joke about it and we could be morbid and we could be positive and we could be strong. But there's a hole that's been ripped out of you.
100%.
And until you get it,
You don't know.
you don't
You
get
don't
it.
know what you don't know.
And you won't, it doesn't matter how empathetic you are.
Correct.
It doesn't matter how sensitive you are. I don't know how to describe, words fail to describe this feeling.
And you never know when it's going to hit you either. There are days when you could be so good,
So good.
and then you could be driving, and all of a sudden, I'll never forget it. I was driving down Oakton, and all of a sudden, like, I started to cry so hard. I literally could not see like one foot
Oh
in
my
front of
God.
me.
So
I like
relatable. Yeah.
pulled over, and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, we're going to be safe now.
Yeah.
Literally 15 minutes.
And sometimes, like, I'll be fine too in social scenes, but then sometimes I'll be around a lot of people and I'll just feel like really out of it.
Alone.
Yeah.
Alone.
Because I'm
It's
like,
funny how you can be in a room full of people but feel so alone.
I've had that experience before,
Yeah,
but it's
it's
just,
different.
it's like I look around and like, they're all just living their lives. And like people will say random things like, "Oh, my dad," or something like this. And I'm just like, uh-huh. Must be nice. Must be
It's hard.
nice. It's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild. But it's what's so crazy is like, again, this is why I feel like I am literally God's favorite, is that I have so many friends in my life around my age who do not have fathers in their lives,
Wow.
which is such
That's
a gift.
unusual.
Unfortunately for all of us.
Literally, that's so
But
unusual.
like there was like 6 of them at my dad's funeral who came to support me.
I know. Shira drove all the way here from
Well, her dad's
Chicago.
alive.
I know her dad is alive,
I'm
but I
talking
was
about
impressed
no, that
that
was
she drove
crazy.
alone.
That was crazy.
That was insane.
But like
She loves you.
yeah, we talked like she was the first person I talked to when my dad died.
Yeah. But that's really nice that your friends all came. You had a ton of friends at that funeral. It was beautiful.
Thanks.
And at Shiva.
Yeah, thank God. I had more that either were out of town or just couldn't make it or unfortunately just didn't know how to navigate that,
Right.
which
Should we go on that topic?
pisses me off.
Should we go on that topic about how you had to calm people down and make them feel better when they were supposed to be making you feel better? Ooh, that was awkward.
Yeah, so that was something I never realized where it's like something that people say when they don't know what to say is like, I wish I knew what to say.
Yeah, which is the worst thing to say.
Don't say that
Just-
because now you're making me feel the need to comfort you.
There is,
And it's all about me right now.
there is a Jewish saying, "Siad l'chachma shtika," like the secret to wisdom is silence. Sometimes just shut that mouth.
But I will also say another thing that really bothered me about people is like going back to what I said earlier is that people assuming what I would need in the way that a lot of people assume that I would need space. If I tell you that I need space and you give me a space, amazing. Unless I tell you it, do not assume that.
Absolutely.
Because there was like a few people who I thought we had built up a community and we were friends and like and they didn't show up and their silence was loud.
Yeah. It's always those people that you wish were there, that you need that comfort from.
Yeah.
It hurts so much. And yes,
Yeah.
that silence is very loud.
Yeah. But I was also really impressed with the community.
Me too.
I didn't know my dad was so loved.
I used to give your mom a really hard time, like, why are you staying in St. Louis? Like, you should move, be near one of your boys. Like, I don't understand. But after seeing the outpouring of love, I totally get why your mother would never want to move away.
Yeah. For her,
For her,
for us.
yeah, for you guys, it's a beautiful, warm community, and they really all rally around you guys. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And that is something that was built over decades.
For sure.
And so to rebuild it at this time in life,
It's hard.
it is hard.
Although it could also be an adventure.
It is an adventure. Speaking of, do you feel, I want to dive into this.
Oh, wow. On camera.
Can I?
You're on candid camera.
Can I?
You could try.
Do you feel that you moving to Israel
Please, Hashem,
with God's help
with God's
at
help,
the right time
at the right time.
is kind of going back to what I said earlier, how like when you lose a parent or in your case both your parents, it gives you this audacity to life where you're like seize
I
the
don't
day.
think, I wish I could tell you that it was because of my parents, but I really feel like after this last trip that I took to Israel, literally since October 7th, I've been wanting to move. But specifically since this last time that we went, I just felt so free and
Mm,
so happy and so full and calm.
I know.
I
And
can't,
I'm
it's
torn.
magical.
It is, but I'm
It's just
torn for
magical.
myself because on one hand, I'm like, I'm a big believer in like supporting the people that I love to do what makes them happy and fills their cup. But selfishly, first of all, you told me during Shiva.
I know, that was probably not the best time to say it.
No,
I figured if you were going to cry, you might as well
Might
just
as
get
well
it
keep
all out of
crying.
it at
like,
the same time.
my thought was just like, and then like I heard more people in our family were going, and I'm like, oh my God, my dad's literally not even cold in the ground yet, and everyone's leaving me. Because part of like my dad passing, even the past few years when he wasn't home, like we would come up to
I
Chicago
love it.
and we love it. And, like I was actually thinking about like this past Shabbos. I'm like, I remember the first Shabbos that we came, or not first Shabbos, maybe it was a Sukkot
Yeah,
that we came up to you.
yeah.
And I had always had like a really good connection to you and Uncle Sherry, but like the cousins, like I haven't really seen them
In a while.
in a while. So it's
Especially
like
as adults.
for sure. And so it's just kind of like, I don't really know you. Like we're cousins, but I don't really have that rapport. And like
Right.
your family is so connected. So like also Chicago roots, like there's all these back stories that everyone's talking to each other and knowing about all these things. And I'm just like, why am I here?
This is so awkward.
Low key. But like each time we've come, I feel like I've felt more and more close with your family. And so then to hear that you're moving to Israel, I was like, well, great. So happy for you. I'll just have to visit you.
You're definitely gonna come
But
visit.
that's why you gave me that beautiful blessing that I should do so well that I'll be able to travel and visit you whenever I want.
Absolutely, I would agree 100%.
But yeah, there's a lot of layers.
There's a lot of layers. I don't know, I just feel a deep connection and I'm scared, to be honest with you. I think that America is the world is a scary place to live in right now. And I'm not denying the fact that there's wars going on and there's terrorist attacks. And wherever I am, God's got my number and I will die wherever it may be. I just feel like there's so much hatred towards Jews in the world right now. If I'm going to be hated by the rest of the world, I want to be home where I belong. Does that make sense to you? That's really what's pulling me at this point. It's just like, should we be in America? Why are we here? Like, what exactly are we doing here in America? God is clearly telling us we don't belong here and we all need to move, in my humble opinion. Maybe not. Maybe I'm crazy. It's possible.
I think everyone's journey is different.
Everybody's journey is different. And
And I
if you
think
would have asked me 5 years ago if I was planning on moving to Israel, I would have told you you're out of your cockamamie brain.
yeah.
It's so not happening. Um, it's going to be a little tricky with the grandchildren because I talk to several of my grandchildren on a daily basis, and we're going to have to figure out the timing. Some is going to be a lot more hours than others, but I want it to work and I'm going to make it happen. And God willing, we'll be able to come back for 2 months out of the year and make our rounds and visit everybody. And I guess now St. Louis will just have to be one of those places.
And I'll have my coffee shop by
And
then.
you'll have your coffee shop, and obviously, got to come to Le Café. Le Café?
Le Café.
Le Café. Ooh la la.
It's true. It's true. You never know. I it's wild, I think if you feel that pull, you should follow it. I call it whispers of the universe. Like you know when you're called to do something differently.
Right.
And you'll know if it's meant for you if things start to line up. When things go into flow and alignment, that's when you know. I felt the same way with my coffee. I mean,
For
even
sure.
small things like, has it been an easy road? No. Has there been so many times when I've questioned my life choices and thought maybe I shouldn't be doing this? Yes.
Right.
But then I always get confirmation that I'm doing the right
It's so
thing.
true.
Like, just a small example, when I was driving to set up my business account, the car in front of me had the license plate coffee.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Thank you, Hashem.
No,
That was a sign,
literally,
literally.
literally. And like, I just keep following my curiosity. Like, first we did the bags of the beans, but ground are whole. And then my investor brought up the perspective where he was like, not everybody has time to do a whole specialty coffee experience in the morning. A lot of people need efficiency. And why should they have to deal with crappy coffee when potentially there's a way that we can be doing great coffee? I was like, you know what? Great question. On it. I called the roasters and I was like, do you know anybody locally? Because I'd love to support local. And that got me to these other guys who ends up doing also my shipping and fulfillments,
Which is amazing.
which is amazing because they have all the relationships with FedEx, they have the relationship with UPS and like USPS, and so then they have insurance. So if anything goes wrong, like they have all these things. Also, they have the warehouses
Which they have
for
the
the
space.
boxes for the
Yeah.
coffee, and like God willing, the cafe will grow to a place where like we're gonna be
Outgrowing.
outgrowing all of that.
Yeah.
So like even how I met my investor, like all these things,
It's all God.
all God.
I literally felt that way when we moved to Chicago, you should know. I'll never forget it. I was in my room sleeping, and all of a sudden my grandparents, who had passed years ago, appeared at my bedside
Well,
and they smiled, and I knew that Chicago was the right move.
Nice.
That's how I feel right now. I just feel like
Yeah. It's the
it's the
next
right
stage.
time. It's the next stage. I want to be buried in Israel anyway. So I'm just saving everybody the expense of taking my body there. Thank you, children.
And to
I
be
mean, you're welcome,
honest, from a
children.
non-selfish perspective, really just thinking about you, if everything works out financially responsibly, like you can do it, what a beautiful way to like
Absolutely. I would love this to be the next adventure in my
season of your
life.
life. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And with traveling and your love of Italy and all
Oh,
that, you're
baby.
so much
It's
closer.
literally right there. So
Literally.
tangible. So
And the
excited.
coffee's so much better there. Everything's better in Israel.
Everything's better in Israel.
I know. There's that Israel fact. I think for me, for the longest time, like generationally, like, because I went when I was 19, but Zadie and Granima were still alive. My parents were both alive. There were so many roots in St. Louis for me. So I don't know if that's in my path. Someone asked me recently, like, would you ever consider it? And are you familiar with the show Friends?
Yes.
So there was an episode where they were talking about their lack of life plans. And Phoebe was like, a plan? I don't even have a plot.
I love that.
So when someone asked me recently, and they're like, would you ever consider yourself moving to Israel? And I was like, it's not a no, it's just not a plot.
You're just
Like,
not there right now.
it just wasn't even a thought.
Of course not. You're focusing on building up your cafe.
Yeah, but some people like that's always truly a desire of theirs. I'm like, they're freshly from Israel, so they were like, it's the Israel effect, as I like to
Right.
say.
No, for sure. Absolutely.
But I was like, if life came about to where it made sense, I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah,
It just needs to make sense for
for
me.
sure. Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm sad for me, but I'm very inspired and happy for you.
Thank you.
We'll
I'll
put it
keep you
that way.
posted on my journey with that too.
Please do. So I have this tradition
Oh, here we go.
at the end of every podcast. There's this Hebrew quote, which is "Ezel Chacham Halamimi Kol Adam," which means one who is wise is one who learns from everyone. So if you can leave us with one last life lesson, what would it be?
I have so many. I've been thinking about this literally for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So now that I'm like on the spot, what would I leave as my life lesson? I want to say on the same vein as Zadie always says, whenever you have to say it with love. I want to say that like no matter who you interact with, always treat them with kindness and respect because you never know how that can affect your life. I'll just tell the story.
Yeah.
I'll never forget when I started with social media. I remember I did all these like inspirational quotes. And one of my friends came over to me and she goes, could you stop already with the inspirational quotes? I said, I'm sorry. I really can't. That's my essence. That's who I am. And you never know what life you're going to touch. The next day, I got a private message from somebody, from a guy, don't know who he is. And he said, I just want to thank you so much for the quote that you posted today because I was planning on ending my life.
Oh my God.
I read your post and I'm like, oh my gosh, I really do matter.
Of course.
Why am I killing myself? Why am I ending my life? I still have a mission to fulfill.
100%.
You never know how you're going to affect a person. So I feel if
Yeah.
you treat everybody with kindness and with dignity, you just never know how that's going to affect them.
Also, my business model for my coffee is focusing on one customer at a time.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to sell hundreds and thousands of millions of coffee bags. Would love to, but it's more
Would love for
about
you to also.
thanks. But it's more about like making sure each customer that I have, especially now in the beginning when there is much more of a smaller number, there is much more of that connection,
For sure.
which is awesome.
It's
And
awesome.
the whole basis of this podcast is exactly what you're saying. Like, my hope from this episode was that whether it's someone who has a family member who they lost, perhaps their dad, if it is the Dead Dad Club, or if they know someone who lost the father, that this can maybe give them a feeling of, oh, I'm not alone. And what I'm feeling is
Absolutely.
valid.
Absolutely. Thank
Well
you so
said.
much for inviting me to come on your podcast. I feel so honored.
Yes, we can do more.
Oh,
This
totally.
was just
We
for
definitely
today.
are.
Yeah. But do you see what I mean about the magic of the
Yeah,
mic?
I love it.
Isn't it great?
Yeah.
You're welcome. And these are real.
I know. I thought they were fake this whole time. I literally thought they were like, I don't know, AI generated.
No, this is all real, baby.
I love
All
it.
me.
I love it.
Well, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Okay.
Can't wait to do this again in your coffee shop.
I know, because I'm going to have a podcast studio there.
Yes.
Wow, guys, thank you so much for listening or watching. If you are not currently watching, the video can be found on Spotify and YouTube. But I am really trying to grow my YouTube channel. So if you're not already subscribed, what are you doing with your life? Please go subscribe. And please share this episode with a friend who you think this will make a difference for them. I hope you guys have a great week. Let's get it. Let's go.